I was driving down the road in one of my favorite areas, I guess you could say, and this being that I've drawn here on the right, I saw this thing basically jump from the ground up into the air near some spruce trees and turn invisible at about the 20-foot mark. And I had heard earlier that from a good friend of mine who he has not seen Sasquatch, but he's seen other things. And he confirmed to me that the fellow who lives right there had Sasquatch hanging around, peeking in his windows. So I went to go visit this guy, and let's call him Teddy, because that's his name. And so I went there on my motorcycle to go see Teddy, and I beat on the door, and I was told knock very loudly because Teddy's 77, he can't hear very good. He's deaf as a post, is what I was told. So I beat the shit out of that door. Nobody came to the door. So I hopped on my motorcycle. It was a warm spring day, and I started putting my way out of there. And guess what I see? I see this same friggin' entity, this muscle-bound freak, with shoulders as big as basketballs and biceps as big as basketballs, and a very, very powerful build. And its chest, I think they're called pectorals, were as big as basketballs. I don't know if I managed to convey that, but this thing, I thought it was sitting up out of the tall grass when I first saw it, but I couldn't see its face. Its head was human-sized, and its face was opaque. Somehow it obscured its face. I couldn't see the details of its face, but I found it very remarkable how the head was very, very out of proportion compared to the rest of the incredibly large dimensions of the rest of the body. Like, this thing had a physique that is, I believe, unachievable by our species. And so I spun my bike around as fast as I could. I bailed off, and I run into the bush where this thing was. Of course, it's no longer there, but I run in there and I yell, "Where are you? I need to talk to you. I have many questions." That's pretty much exactly what I said, and I yelled it. And what I get, this voice, and I'm not even sure if I heard it with my ears. I'm not so sure I did. But this voice I heard was very clear, crystal clear, and the voice said, "Go away!" Like that. It sounded like kind of a two-tone voice. That's the best I can explain it. And sounded like really good advice. Like you see something like that, and it tells you that, then, like, I left. It seemed like the right thing to do. So I got on my bike, I left. Another time I go out there to go see Teddy, and I actually did get a hold of him, and I wanted to know if the one that I saw was the same as the one that he saw. And I described it to him, and yep, that's the one. So we went out, me and Teddy went for a walk around his cabin. Apparently this thing had been peeking into his window, and we found basically one track. And it was like maybe about a 17-inch by 8-inch track, something like that. And but it, there was only one, which makes no sense, but that's what there was. And anyways, I showed him where I saw it rising to the ground, and also showed him where it sounded like the voice was coming from, and it was the same grove of spruce trees that I had seen this thing jump up into the first time I'd seen it. And so he was a little stressed out, like, oh shit, I've got a Sasquatch hanging around, and like, I don't know what I should do. And so I told him, well, I'll tell you what I would do. I said, if you feel threatened, you can rebuke these things in the name of Jesus. You have to believe in Jesus for this to work, but there's power in the name, and we have dominion upon this earth as humans, as given by God, and these things know it, and like, you use your power. Anyways, God's promise, my understanding, is absolute. His word is absolute. So these things know it. So anyway, I told him that, and he seemed kind of relieved to hear that. And anyways, he explained to me that he was fairly musical. He liked to play acoustic guitar and sing, and he liked to sing old Beatles songs. I guess he'd been in a band previously, and they would play competitions and dances, and I guess they sometimes won prizes. They were pretty good. So anyway, I guess he could sing and play quite well. I never heard him, but so he was in his cabin, and he was singing and playing his guitar, and he said something touched his guitar while he was playing it. He said it was as if a person was sitting there and just reached across and just touched his guitar. That's what it felt like as he was holding it and singing and playing. But there was nothing there. And that is fully within the capability of what these things do, can do, have done, will do. And so anyways, I've developed this habit of praying and meditating every night and every morning as I'm waking up, before I get up, and before I go to sleep. It usually helps me go to sleep, and it helps set the tone for the day when I do it in the morning. And often I'm doing it kind of between conscious time and dream time. It's just become a natural thing that I just do automatically. And a little about Teddy. Teddy's a native Canadian from Burns Lake area somewhere. It's 5'6", maybe 5'8", very slight, 125, 130 pounds. Not a very healthy guy. Seemed to subsist on highly processed meat, like store-bought jerky and pepperoni sticks. I never saw him eat anything else, but I didn't spend a lot of time with the guy. But it seems like that's, from all the wrappers in his truck too. That was the impression I got. I guess he didn't like to cook. I don't know. So one day I'm laying in my bed and I'm meditating, praying, and I get this message, and it was the same voice that yelled at me, "Go away!" And this time the voice said, "I'm gonna kill you." It was like, holy shit, what the hell was that? And just right out of nowhere, crystal clear, same intensity. And I really didn't know what to think. I thought, well, if that thing's going to kill me, I better get my affairs in order. So I set about doing just that. I spent lots of quality time with my family and my kids, and cooking nice meals, and going out for dinner, and just, making the best of things. Anyway, about 60 days later, I was praying and meditating about it, because I was, kind of trying to figure out how much time I might have, and I got this same thing. I was laying in bed in the morning, and I got this female voice, which I had heard before. The female voice says, "That message was not for you." Well, color me relieved. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I expected it was going to be soon, right? So I was very relieved to get that message. So I started thinking, well, if it's not for me, who's it for? And of course, the first person pops in my head is Teddy. It's like, oh shit, I gotta talk to Teddy about this. Like, what the hell is going on? And I meant to go see Teddy, but this is when all the COVID nonsense was going on, and lockdowns, etc. And I had some kind of bug, so I was afraid to go see Teddy because I was so sick. I just wasn't feeling up to it. It was like dead of winter, colder than a witch's tit around here. Minus 20, minus 30, and shitty roads, and I just felt like hammered shit. And that's no exaggeration. I was some kind of sick, and I was afraid that if I went to see Teddy, that he might catch the bug I have, and it would kill him. Like, there's no point in spreading a bug like I had around, and potentially like he would be at risk because of his age and his poor health. But so my intention was to go see him when I got better. The problem was I didn't get better. I got grandkids and they come over, and they go to school during the week and they catch stuff at school and then they bring it home to grandma and grandpa, and then I was sick all friggin' winter. I just never made it over to see Teddy. So, and again, I'm laying in bed, praying, meditating, and I hear this voice again, the same voice I'd heard previously, that gravelly voice, two-tone voice, and it says, "I warned you," and just like that, and I warned you before, and I thought, oh shit, like I really got to go see Teddy. But the thing is, the voice I heard that time, it was not nearly as strong. It sounded further away and less amplified, I guess you could say. And so my goal was to go see Teddy, but same thing, I was still sick. Like, damn it, when am I ever going to get better? Like, I'd already told him about the rebuking thing, but, I don't know what the hell he was up to, or what he was involved in, or, anyway. But I was curious as hell, like, how do you piss something like that off? And, like, what the hell did you do, Teddy? I don't know, I don't have a clue, right? And it's kind of none of my business, but I'm concerned for Teddy's well-being. So anyways, my friend who lives out there, he's a snowbird, and he goes away for the winter. He comes back in the spring. He comes back in the spring, comes to visit me a few days later. He informs me that Teddy has been found inside his cabin. A neighbor knocked on the door because there was little or no there's no activity whatsoever and around there. So I guess they called the police, and the police broke the door down, gained access anyways, and inside was Teddy, deader than a doornail, half on, half out off the couch, and they believe he had died of a heart attack. And that's how that story ends.